All right, folks. Good evening. Today we're doing lesson 109. I rest in God. It's 9 paragraphs long, and we'll do two at a time and try to finish the lesson in a little bit less than an hour if possible. And I'll go ahead and read the first 2 paragraphs. I rest in God. Paragraph 1. We ask for rest and quietness, unshaken by the world's appearances. We ask for peace and stillness in the midst of all the turmoil born of clashing dreams. We ask for safety and for happiness, although we seem to look on danger and on sorrow. And we have the thought that we'll answer our asking with what we request. Paragraph 2. I rest in God. This thought will bring you to the rest and quiet and peace and stillness and the safety and the happiness you seek. I rest in God. This thought has power to wake the sleeping truth in you, whose vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth in everyone and everything there is. Here is the end of suffering for the world, and everyone who ever came and yet will come to linger for a while. Here is the thought in which the Son of God is born again, to recognize himself. Okay. So this lesson, and Christina's lesson 109, we just finished paragraph 1 and 2. Okay. So what we want to try to do today is simply remember this phrase, I rest in God. So whenever the ego tries to take control of your mind and your thinking, let that trigger in you this lesson. Because you know the ego's roads never take you to where you want to be. They never take you to the state of peace, right? And you belong in the state of peace. And so let your, let's call it unpeace, not make you less peaceful, but triggering you the desire to use this lesson. I rest in God. Okay, and sentence number 4, paragraph 2. This thought has power to wake the sleeping truth in you, whose vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth in everyone and everything there is. And so there's a sight, there's the ego's sight, and there's God's vision. The ego's sight sees others as separate from you, and God's vision sees only the truth in each other as true. And so because the truth in each other is the same thing, then it only sees the same thing in each and every one of us as true. And okay, sentence number 5, paragraph 2. Here is the end of suffering for all the world, and whoever came and yet will come to linger for a while. And so what you want to do here is the end of the suffering of all the world. So the way you want to end the suffering of the world is you want to see past what the ego thinks, says, or does, and focus not on the body, but on a person's eternal essence and nature. And by seeing their eternal essence and nature, you help end the suffering of the world. You end the judgment of the world. Any comments or questions?
I have one small comment.
Yes.
So it would be easier for some people who are not used to doing this, that if in between the word is at the end of 4 and the word here at the beginning of 5, it would say something like, and I choose not to be bothered by the way someone is holding their look or their hair or the way that they're talking or the tone that they're taking or the fact that they're screaming or the this or the that, whatever it is that they're doing. And I choose not to be in judgment. And I choose to be in full appreciation that I understand in actual practice, daily reality, practical practice, that I, by grace of God, have been given a head attached to this body who chooses peace, who chooses to see the truth and to be at one with it instead of in opposition with it, instead of triggered by it, instead of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And therefore I can demonstrate love to myself because I value my experience. I know that's a lot to put in between those two words, but if that was put into those two words, then people might be able to understand how is it that here is the end of suffering in that small little choice.
Yeah, because suffering doesn't have anything to do with the outer world. Suffering has to do with how you define the outer world.
And how I value my experience, whether I'm loving to myself and others.
Yeah, and so if you're suffering, it's not because of the outer world, it's because you're judging your experience in the world.
If you're suffering, it's because you like to suffer. And so
It's,
you align everything in order for your suffering to happen.
yeah, if you're suffering, you find some value in the suffering. And so you want to look within to heal, not out there to heal. Because you've been programmed to define some experience in a way that brings you a lack of peace. And so it's because of the way you've been programmed and how you now see the world that you are suffering.
Or
And so,
another way, or
yeah,
another way of, or another way of saying that is because I've chosen to give myself every reason for which to be nasty to myself and others, judgmental to myself and others, have a really horrible time out of this moment because of course I have to be this way because look at what they did and what they didn't do and then what they did. But that's what a person who is living that life, that's exactly what they want to live. So it is perfect for them that way.
yeah. And this lesson is I rest in God. And so if you want to rest in God, you got to practice trusting the divine design, which means everybody is exactly where they need to be in this moment in time. And so when you realize that, the state of peace results.
Becomes your medicine.
Yes.
Becomes your medicine.
Yes. And so your rest or your lack of rest is in the end your decision. And that is good news because if it's your decision, then you can change your mind about what you're seeing.
And heaven is there for you right here, right now. A miracle. It's not just knowing about it. It's not just reading this stuff once a week or whenever. It's actually practicing it. A daily praxis of choosing to be loving to myself and everything else.
Yeah, everything is helping you see when you are using the ego sight to view the world. And so if you lack peace, know that somewhere in your past, you've been programmed to see the world in that way. So all you have to do is make the conscious decision to realign with the mind of God, trusting in the divine design, that all is as it should be, and that everybody's processing their journey exactly as they need to. And if you do allow for that, then you will have peace and you will have rest. Any other comments or questions on paragraph 1 and 2?
I can read if you want the next one.
Yes, please. 3 and 4, please.
Okay, I've got to go. I have that other course class that I facilitate 9:45. Okay.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
3 and 4, please. One.
Here we go. Quote, I rest in God. Completely undismayed. This thought will carry you through storms and strife, past misery and pain, past loss and death, and onward to the certainty of God. Where is no suffering, it cannot heal. There's no problem that it cannot solve, and no appearance but will turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. Fourth
Okay.
paragraph.
Yeah, paragraph 4, please.
This is the day of peace, meaning now is the day of peace. You rest in God. And while the world is torn by winds or hurricanes of hate, your rest remains complete, undisturbed. Yours is the rest of truth. Appearances cannot intrude on you. You call to all to join you in your rest, and they will hear and come to you because you rest in God. They will not hear another voice than yours because you gave your voice to God. And now you rest in Him and let Him speak through you.
Yes. Paragraph 3, sentence 3. There is no suffering it cannot heal. AKA, there is no misperception it cannot heal. Sentence number 4. There is no problem that it cannot solve. And so the Course always says there's one problem, there's always one problem, only one problem and one solution. The problem is that you think you're separate from Source, and the solution is to remember that you are one with Source. And then sentence number 5, paragraph 3, and no appearance will turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. And so when you rest in God, your mind is aligned with the mind of God.
Without delay.
Without delay.
Separation of time. Without no. Wait. That's too fast. Oh no. Wait. I'll do it next year. Oh no, not now. I'm angry now. No. You don't understand. Without delay. None of that.
Yes. So the amount of time that you lack rest, in the end, it's up to you.
Is the measure of your suffering.
Yes, it's your decision. It has nothing to do with the outer world. It's simply, okay, I'm lacking peace right now. Why am I lacking peace? I'm lacking peace simply because I judge something as wrong. If I'm judging something as wrong, I'm in essence judging God as incompetent. And so when I judge God as incompetent, I produce guilt and shame, you could call it too.
Yeah.
And so if you're in guilt, if you're feeling unconsciously guilty or shameful, then know that you're out of alignment with the mind of God.
Know that you're feeling unworthy of feeling love for yourself and others.
Yeah, and always remind yourself that you, as God's child in creation, are forever worthy of God's inheritance, which is peace and joy and all those loving thoughts.
And so if you're in the mind of someone who is saying, "Oh my God, why are they doing this to me?" Because I'm not giving love. And because I'm not giving love, I'm not feeling love. And because I'm not feeling love, I'm feeling dissatisfaction, exasperated. Oh my God, I can't be understood. Nobody understands. I need more time. This is a really big problem, etc., etc. Completely healed as soon as you recognize I am the fountain of love. I can connect to all that stuff. I have all the answers. They're inside me. It's not about making this one happy and the other one happy and the other one happy. Of course, I see them completely doing what they're doing. That is truth. What they're doing is truth. But they're choosing what they're choosing because that's their life. And I choose to love them exactly the way that they are, knowing that they're going through their thing, man. I might have been going through that thing next lifetime. That's why I can't understand it this lifetime so far. If I did, I would know how to fix it in myself already, and I would be able to give them a demonstration of how easy it is to fix their situation. And they would see me, and they would hear the voice of God through me, because obviously they understand the word of God. It's inside them as well. So if I had conquered whatever problem it is that I'm seeing in them, I would be demonstrating how easy it is to conquer that problem like this, no problem. So I wouldn't have any problem. I'd be giving the demonstration, or I would be calmly appreciating, oh, look, that's me. A couple of days ago, before I figured it out. Isn't it great that I figured it out? And then you release all the anxiety that this person or that situation or et cetera, et cetera. Because, it's no problem. That was me yesterday. Look, I'm here now. Totally fine. No need to worry about them. They're going to be fine. Tomorrow, maybe.
Yes. Okay. It says paragraph 4, sentence number 2. And while the world is torn by winds of hate, your rest remains completely undisturbed. So when you align with the mind of God, you become that shelter within the ego's storm. And people, they know that they deserve peace too. They might not always choose peace, but they know deep down inside that they deserve peace. And so when they see somebody who's at peace, even in the turmoil of the world, they will look to you for shelter. They will look to your example. Because if you have peace, that's what they want too. If you're joyous, that's what they want to. And somewhere inside of them, they know that they deserve peace of mind and joy. Because they too are God's child in creation.
So the trick is to remember that the way you get to your peace is not going to be the same way that they get to peace. So even if you see someone and they're struggling, supposedly struggling, and you tell them, well, I did it this, and this, and this, and this, if it's possible that you can articulate it that quickly, if it is true that you've already healed yourself from that situation, and you tell them, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you see them not doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you see them doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you get upset because they didn't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They did it in their way, opposite to you, but they're getting to the same place because you need to accept that they're getting to the same place because that's where they want to go.
Yeah,
Then
and
you
there
you
is no
could
such
heal
thing.
yourself right then and there. You can heal yourself right then and there. Everybody's doing it their way. And all I have to do is demonstrate love for real. They can tell the difference between love and not real love. Everybody can tell that all the time. you know?
Yeah,
They
and
can,
love is a form of non-judgment. So
yeah.
if you're allowing them to be who they are, experience the journey exactly as they co-created it with God, then you will rest in peace. Just practice trusting that they too have co-created their journeys with the divine. And the divine is perfection, and perfection does not create imperfectly.
What
And
a
so whatever
blessing.
the journey is, that's perfect for them.
What a blessing to be able to see that in real life,
Yes,
right?
yes, and it shouldn't be that hard because every time you judge somebody else's journey, you lack peace, you lack rest, and so why continue to go down dead-end roads that never deliver to you the peace of mind that you as God's child in creation deserve. So stop doing what's not bringing you peace. Stop thinking in a way that's not bringing you peace.
So James, how do you figure that out? Do you like look at an emotional inventory and say, "Oh, I'm in this emotion. I'm feeling this emotion. I am being this emotion at the moment." And how does that feel? Well, clearly it feels like it's draining me down the tube and I've got no energy left. That's definitely not love. And then if you have a different emotional inventory and, if you're at encouragement or higher, acceptance or higher, love or higher, equanimity or higher, you're never going to run out of any sort of anything except this is great. I love this. Look at all this stuff that's happening. No matter what it looks like to somebody else who's right next to you and it's like all, you know, a freaking blender because they can't. It's like, oh my God, oh my, blah, 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 they're like a blender turned on and you're, oh man, this is great. I love what I'm seeing.
Yes, if you lack peace or rest, use those moments to practice trusting in the divine design. Practice remembering that God is perfect love and that He's taking care of each and every one of His children. And so when you think in that manner, when you think in alignment with the mind of God, you will have rest, you will have peace. Any other questions or comments before we continue? All right, would somebody like to read 5 and 6? All right, I'll go ahead and read it. Number 5, in Him you have no cares and no concerns, no burdens, no anxiety, no pain, no fear of future, and no past regrets. In timelessness, you rest, while time goes by without its touch upon you. For your rest can never change in any way at all. You rest today, and as you close your eyes, sink into stillness. Let these periods of rest and respite reassure your mind that all its frantic fantasies were but dreams of fever that have passed away. Let it be still and thankfully accept its healing. No more fearful dreams will come now that you rest in God. Take time today to slip away from dreams and into peace. Paragraph 6, each hour that you take your rest today, a tired mind is suddenly made glad. A bird with broken wings begins to sing. A stream long dry begins to flow again. The world is born again each time you rest. And hourly remember that you came to bring the peace of God into the world, that it might take rest along with you. Beautiful.
Mm.
And okay, paragraph 5, sentence number 1. In Him you have no cares and no concerns, no burdens, no anxiety, no pain, no fear of the future, and no past regrets. Okay, so to have the rest of God, you want to return to the present moment. Okay, the way you return to the present moment is by forgiving the past, any past thought you're holding on to, and placing the future fully in God's hands. So that's step 1. You have to come back to the present moment, the holy instant. That's the only place where true rest resides. If you're judging self or others, angry, resentful, hateful, somewhere you're stuck in the past, and you're not gonna achieve peace if you're stuck in the past.
Grievance.
Grievance. Grievance, if you're stuck with grievance, no matter what the ego says that you have every right to do, you will never achieve rest, or true peace. When you're fearful, doubtful, anxious, worried, you will never achieve true rest and true peace as long as you're buying into those delusions as real.
It's also based on a grievance. They're not going to be there for me. And therefore, my future is going to be, I'm going to be alone, or I'm not going to have support, or I'm not going to have what I need, blah, blah, blah. It's a grievance, as opposed to tomorrow's going to be great. Look at today. Today's great too. I have everything I need. Even before I realize that I have everything I need, it's being given to me. Medicine.
Yes, sentence number 2, paragraph 5. In timelessness, that means apart from the past and future, simply in the now, while time goes by without its touch upon you. So if you remain in the present moment, free from judgment, placing the future fully in God's hands, that's where you find true rest. That's where you find true peace. And then sentence number 5, paragraph 5. Let these periods of rest and respite reassure your mind that all its frantic fantasies were but dreams of fever that have passed away.
It's important to recognize that the word respite or respite
Yeah.
means you are resting because someone else is taking over the task of whatever it is that you're usually, going 100 million miles an hour to take care of. So either it is when you are truly at rest in the situation, going 100 miles an hour, but still restful, doing everything that you need to do, but feeling great, feeling love, feeling open, feeling I'm giving from a fountain that never ends, or when you're depleted because you have so completely aggravated yourself into with this grievance and that grievance and the future grievance and the grievance on top of the grievance and blah blah that I can't forgive, and then you finally burn yourself out. Your adrenal glands are completely burnt out and you can't drink any more coffee. There's just no more energy left because you've burned your chi completely out. Then you need respite. In other words, someone, like some people come to this meeting, someone to kind of like give you I feel great now. That's a respite. You're not resting. You're being assisted to rest. And it's
Yes.
important. It's important, that sentence, because that's what's always happening for us. We're either resting or a bird is singing out the window and oh my God, isn't that delicious? And you're brought back to it's a delightful thing. This experience. It's a magical place I'm here in this life. And the bird is just an example. It could be the sunrise, it could be anything. Could be anything that brings you back to this here moment in the presence of who and what I really am, constant change, making good use of everything, this cosmic recycle bin, Nothing is bad. Nothing is bad. Everything is perfect for whatever purpose I want to use it for.
Yes, and if you recall that everything is perfect, then your response to the holy instant, to the present moment, is gratitude. And so if your response to any moment is not gratitude, then you're viewing the world through the ego's lens. You have what it calls here in the paragraph 5, sentence number 5. You're viewing frantic fantasies and fever dreams. Okay, so either you're viewing the world through the ego's lens, where it's results are frantic fantasies and fever dreams, or you're in a state of gratitude, seeing the world through God's eyes, and have true peace and true rest. So you have a choice to make. And paragraph 6 and 10.
Would you say that choice is an emotional choice or a thought choice or a I'm going to do this choice?
I think it's natural and normal to view the world through love's lens, through God's eyes, in alignment with the mind of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's truly normal and natural. Now we've been programmed to believe that something else is normal and natural, and that's viewing the world through the ego's eyes. If you believe in that delusion, your response is going to be a delusion and darkness and despair. And so, if you practice remembering to no matter what, respond with gratitude to each and every moment, little by little, rest and peace will become your response to the present moment. And so all you have to do is just keep on practicing offering gratitude, no matter what the ego says about the moment or interaction. There's something in that moment for you to help you grow, heal, and awaken. And so if every moment is being used by God to help you grow, heal, and awaken, the only response to that moment and to each and every person in that moment is gratitude.
Oh.
Paragraph 6, I guess sentence number 2. The world is born again each time you rest. And hourly remember that you came to bring the peace of God into the world. And so that's your mission. Your mission in each and every moment and interaction is to bring peace to it. And so if you are bringing peace to each and every moment, then you will have a sense of fulfillment because you're doing what God created you to do. And so if you lack peace, just know that your mind and heart is somewhere where it does not belong. You are poisoning yourself with whatever thoughts you're thinking. And so go ahead.
It's not a poison. It's simply a choice to separate yourself from a peaceful state that is always with you, has never left you, simply depends on you to self-recognize, oh, look what I've been doing to myself. So even the person who asks me, well, how do you do that? You're always so happy. How do you do that? Da, 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 da. And, I have to tell them, well, it's partly the food I eat. It's partly I wake up early. It's partly I make a meditation. It's partly I choose to do this. This is what's easy for me to do. But the thing that's there is when you lack peace, you don't actually lack it. You're putting yourself into the mind that sees the lack of peace and doesn't want to take the simple choice to choose to be at peace, who wants to feel worthy of feeling good. And if you do feel worthy of feeling good, you move yourself into the place of feeling.
Yes, keep reminding yourself that you're worthy of peace, that you, as God's child in creation, are forever worthy of His inheritance, which is the state of peace. And so, if you're lacking peace in any situation, just remind yourself who your true Father is and what your true inheritance is. But to enjoy your inheritance, you have to choose it.
There's a meditation ritual, which is when you're feeling whatever it is you're feeling, and you do a meditation and you see the bodhisattva in front of you. You can use whatever other figure you want, and it's you ask the bodhisattva to take your place and show you what is it that a full-fledged, completely self-realized human being that happens to be named a bodhisattva, meaning somebody who's completely liberated, doesn't need to show you a thing because they're so completely liberated. They don't even need to show you a thing because they see that what you're going through is totally perfect. So you ask them, please show me. And they exchange bodies with you and they show you. And you're kind of there in awe, seeing how completely easy it is to do. Or you're completely still in the ego and can't even see the fact that they're showing you. It's kind of like the person who's like asking you for a candy bar and they're holding a candy bar in their hand and you give them another one and they're like, can I have a candy bar? They're not present to the fact that I already have what I'm asking for. It's just a matter of shifting, small little choice, shifting to a different place in my beingness. So this meditation thing is just that. You slow down enough to see the bodhisattva do the thing, which is to be peaceful, and you do your breathing meditation and etc. as that's happening, and then at the end you're grateful, of course, because look, I've just been taught.
Yes, and remember, no matter how dramatic the ego makes a moment, you're always just a simple choice away from peace. You can say one of the lessons in the Course in Miracles, I can have peace instead of this.
Mhm.
And so whatever this is, this can come in 1,000 forms. But they're all, like we said in the previous paragraph, fearful dreams, fever dreams, or frantic fantasies. And so no matter what the fever dream is that you're having, no matter what the frantic fantasy that you're having, you're always just one simple and gentle choice away from peace. I can choose peace instead of this. And so don't allow the ego to tell you it's too complicated for you to have peace right now. Don't let it tell you it's too hard. Don't let it tell you somebody else is not worthy of that peace, because we're all one. And so if your ego says that somebody else is not worthy of peace, it's in essence secretly telling you that you're not worthy of peace. And so offer everyone what you desire. You desire peace. If that's what you truly desire, then you must offer it to all others, because we are all one. And so nobody out there can be left without your blessing and your peace if you want to find true rest and peace. And so each and every person out there, what are they really doing for you? They're really offering you the opportunity to bless them and thus achieve the state of peace, and thus become the light of the world that God created you to be, and thus to fulfill your function as the light of the world. And so when you recall that each and every person out there, in quotes, no matter what they're doing, in reality, what they're doing is they're offering you the opportunity to practice choosing non-judgment and peace, then your response to them becomes one of gratitude. And so thank your brother and sister for the practice, whatever that practice may be. Any other comments or questions on paragraph 5 or 6 before we continue? Okay, would somebody like to read 7 and 8? No? All right. I shall read 7 and 8.
I'll take it, James.
Okay.
7. With each 5 minutes that you rest today, the world is nearer waking. And the time when you rest will be the only thing there is comes closer to all worn and tired minds, too weary now to go their way alone. It's a nice way of saying, you're providing an example. And they will hear the bird begin to sing, and see the stream begin to flow again, with hope reborn and energy restored, to walk with lightened step along the road that suddenly seems as easy as they go. 8. You rest within the peace of God today and call upon your brothers from your rest to draw them to their rest along with you. You will be faithful to your trust today, forgetting no one, bringing everyone into boundless circle of your peace, the holy sanctuary where you rest, upon the temple's doors, and let them come from far across the world and near as well, your distant brother and your closest friend. Bid them all and here and rest with you.
Yes, lovely. Paragraph 8, sentence 1. You rest within the peace of God today. And so, in essence, you rest one with the mind of God. And sentence number 2, forgetting no one. And so, everybody has to be included in this exercise for you to have true peace of mind and true joy. Everyone. Nobody can be left outside the circle of peace. So here's it says, bringing everyone into the boundless circle of your peace, the holy sanctuary where you rest. And so the more you offer everybody and see everybody's through God's lens, through non-judgment, the more you increase your circle around you of peace. And the more and more people are included in that circle. And so that's your job today. Make sure that not one single person is left outside your circle. Because if one single person is left outside your circle, that creates a hole in your circle. And then you go down with the ship. Because we're all worthy of the peace of God. And we're here to remind everybody that they too are worthy of the peace of God, of the rest, of true rest. I think Wendy put some questions on the side, unless you want to verbalize them, Wendy. Can you talk a little bit about how it says in part 3, this lesson carries us past loss and death? The only gratitude I can come up
for everybody here. I wrote it just to you.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Yes, direct message. Sorry. The only gratitude I can come on. Susan's not suffering. Can you talk a little bit about says carries us past loss? Well, okay. Now this might be a little bit hard to hear, but the way that this lesson helps you carry you past loss and death is that if you make you can only make 2 choices in any moment: to see the world through God's eyes or to see the world through the ego's eyes. If you decide to see the world through the ego's eyes, then loss and death are always going to be your companions. And you're always going to believe them that they're real and true. If you see through God's eyes, you're always going to see the eternal. You're always going to see that in the present moment, we are all still here, still awakened, still living in our own different ways, maybe. And so one way of seeing the world is going to attach you to judgment, to resentment, to sadness, to loss, to death. And that's just how the ego has programmed us to look at our situations, especially when a very quote unquote difficult situation happens where somebody in your family or friend passes. Obviously, you go to your past programming And your past programming says that when a loved one passes, you are to be depressed. You are to be sad. You are to miss them. You are to think that you'll never see them again. You are to have all these emotions. And that's fine. That's part of the ego's little dance. But you don't have to buy into it. As you the more you choose to buy into it, the more pain you will experience. And the longer you choose to see the world through the ego's eyes, the more pain you will experience, the more sadness you will experience, the more depression you will experience. But once you make the conscious decision to say, you know what? I don't know exactly why this happened this way, but I'm going to make a conscious decision to trust in the divine designer, in the divine design, that God, being perfection, can only create perfectly. And so this situation, no matter what, how sad my ego says that it is, this situation is perfect. And yes, you don't have to go ahead and buy into that, but as long as you don't buy into it, you won't have peace. And so remember, there is no time, right? In the ego's lens, yes, there is time, but in reality, there is no time. And so there is no time between your connection to your sister.
So
You and her are still one. Yes.
let's say that I'm a person who has zero capacity of seeing spirit or feeling uh, higher grade emotions. Let's say I'm a person who just lives on um, the only thing that's real is the physical world, and in the physical world where I have grievances of every possible kind. Um, maybe even I'm so completely devoted to that idea that money fixes everything and et cetera, et cetera. Or if nothing else, I just have to avoid. I just can't feel this grievance any longer, so I just avoid that person forever and ever and ever, and because it's all based on physicality. How that physical thing that I'm close to, I gotta get away from it, and I don't understand anything about energy, and I don't understand how to manipulate this whole physical world with my energy, change it at my will. Um, how would you try to get someone who has like the default, constantly falls right back to that state of thinking, feeling, etc., physical, physical, physical? How do you explain to them something which is completely not visible? This energy thing, this ability to be really at one with whom and what you really are, the constant change, which is complete energy. To be able to see that is a complete energy thing. See it for real, not just like see it in a book or see it with somebody talking to you about it, or, you know, see it as if you're dead for real now. Like if you had already died and your body is no longer with you, and yet you're still present in another form, because we're not leaving this planet. We're just going to turn into worm food, right? And before we came into this planet, we were the food that our mothers ate and became a body in her body. So how do you explain that to somebody who just has the capacity or the consciousness level to only see physical and relate to physical and to death and to etc.?
Yeah, I mean, I personally always offer my friends who are really stuck in the depression when somebody has passed away.
Yeah.
I tell them, listen, I just recommend them certain books, because you can't change anybody's mind, you know. And so I just say, listen, this is the books that I recommend. Whenever you're ready to read them, check them out and see that they help you out. All I can tell you is that we are eternal. I know that for a fact. You might not believe it, and that's okay. And they have to experience whatever it is that they have to experience. And so
Yeah.
if they want to suffer for years or decades, that's
Lifetime.
perfect. That's perfect for them. That's what they need for X or Y reason. That's above my pay grade, and so I just let them go ahead and feel whatever it is they need to feel. But we're being in the physical form. I offer them uh, books such as like simple ones like Many Lives, Many Masters. That's actually scientific, psychological, um, past life regressions that people experience. There's case studies, and maybe I showed them another book about maybe like Dr. Newton's, and he does in between life experiences, case studies. So seeing something written in a scientific way might assist them, and so that
And
may be helpful.
there's also the book that's called Death by Sadhguru.
Okay.
He talks about all the different rituals that you do at certain times, right after someone has passed, etc. And um, yeah, very powerful. Death, written by Sadhguru.
Yeah.
Because you see, the scientific stuff is really very interesting, but the scientific stuff is also written just for the person who is stuck in this so-called physical reality thing. Um, there are things called rituals, and these rituals, although you don't need them, because you could pretend to do all these rituals, and if you don't really get into the energy of what is it that you're experiencing, it's like reading this book. You never get it. And that's okay, you know. Um, what's beautiful about the rituals is that you dedicate your purpose, your intention to the being of this connection that you have to a thing that's no longer here in physical form. But believe it or not, it's possible to communicate to that thing in physical form. It's possible to still receive lessons, life altering lessons from this being, this thing that was in a body. From personal experience, I'm telling you, this happens. And
Yeah.
when it happens, it blows my mind away and gives me all the more energy and currency and fuel and everything else to understand. I'm so glad that I'm not stuck in that. I don't know. I got really lucky to get the head with this body that I got this lifetime. That's all I can say.
So share with Wendy, because Wendy's going through something like that. When your mom passed, like how were you able to find peace with that?
I I have always done a lot of meditation. Um, and I got lucky in life, and I went to a shrink every Wednesday, 7 p.m. at the Psychology Center at University of Miami. And the person who wrote Many Lives, Many Masters was my hypnotherapist. When I met him, I said, I'm not into all this past life stuff because I don't believe any of that stuff. I'm only here because you're the best hypnotherapist there is in Miami. And I want to make an A in my differential equations class because I've taken it and I can only get a C and I've done all my homework. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we proceeded uh, with him doing the thing, and he found a room that had a video camera so that I could see what went on. So that put me at ease. Some people need things like a video camera to be put at ease. The point is, there's a device to put you at ease. Some people need a book to put them at ease. Some people need a person. It's all codependency stuff. Eventually, you start to recognize, oh, this is a codependency thing that I got going on, and you remember the love is inside, not to be gotten out there. I'm not going to tell you what happened in therapy, but it was 4 years of the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. And because of that time that I spent going to therapy every Wednesday, 7 o'clock, when my mother went into the hospital for the first time, I ate it up like butter. And I asked her cardiologist, hey, is there a cure for this? The dude brings me a book called Eat More, Weigh Less. And then the next day I gave it back to him thinking he was going to take it back. I don't know why, because anyway. And then he refused to take it back and he gave me another book called Recuperating the Heart, which is all science about how do you cure heart disease. And then the third or fourth day he came back and he said, do you think you could do this? And I said, yeah, of course. And I did. Not for me, I did it for her to try to, you know, food changes, lifestyle changes, yoga changes, meditate, all the stuff that's in those two books. And because I chose to channel my life in the direction of being helpful as a volunteer to somebody else, totally, I didn't need to do any of that stuff. I was a young kid with no heart problems. But I knew that she needed somebody to help her. And she went along with it for about 9 or 7 or 12 months. I can't remember exactly. And I stuck with it, where she went right back to her old life because her husband, because her sisters, because what, she made her choice. When she went into Alzheimer's-ness, and my dad finally said, okay, you with all your hoopy-dooby functional medicine and all that stuff, can you help? Can you fix this? I said, sure, let's go to the lawyer's office and rewrite the trust and everything else that has to do with anything having to do with property, and so that I become responsible for your wife and you no longer as the husband are responsible. And I took complete control of her health care. And my mother had zero hesitation because she energetically, despite the fact that her brain wasn't working at the level of supposedly all these functional people in the planet who are fully committed to the physical world. Anyway, she totally could trust because I had already fixed all those things in me as if I were fixing it in her way back then and in every other day of my life since 1996. So my dad handed me my mother with a liver function and a kidney function below horrible, to the point where I said to my dad, hey, her kidney functions are 2 points away from you having to take her to dialysis 2 and 3 times a week. Is that what you want? So of course he was willing to sign it all over to me, and I changed everything in her life to fit the thing that I took up in 1996. And since she's no longer fully functional, there was no need for her to go appease her sisters or anybody else. It wasn't an agenda for her any longer.
But when she passed, I mean, how did you deal with her passing?
When she passed, it was because I signed her into the hospital because her caregiver at home that I had hired to be living with her during COVID, living with her and my mother and my dad in Miami. I was up here doing emergency management, getting all kinds of medication and protective devices and everything out, distributed all over the state because that was my job, emergency manager. And they called me and said, hey, your mom hasn't slept for 8 days. I said, okay, I'm going to go down there. She said, no, you have to see. And they put her on the video. And my mother is as if she's in a camping trip, rolling up the bedspreads, like when you're rolling up, anyway, it was just like camping. And she was saying things like, who would have thought I'd be leaving so soon? And I knew that she was disconnected. I mean, like disconnected from her real self, not her physical real self, her real self. My mother has always been a high functioning, peaceful person, somebody who always invites everybody around her to be a nonviolent, loving person. And at what I saw there after 6 or 8 days of not sleeping was a person whom is just as nuts as some of the folks that you see in real life out there. So I made a decision to put her in the hospital, knowing 50-50 she's going to get COVID. Anyway, they changed all her medications in the hospital to microdoses, and um, that was really the only place because I wasn't able to leave Tallahassee. So, I walked away with some guilt. I couldn't leave to go be there with her. But then again, I couldn't be in the hospital anyway. They don't allow you during COVID. So it was this was the only decision to be made. Rationally, I understood that, but on an emotional level, I had to deal with the fact that, hey, dude, 50-50, you're going to sign her death warrant. And I did sign it. And this was the thing to do. So medications were readjusted. It took 4 days. She was starting to be able to sleep. I was able to FaceTime with her. I could see that her consciousness was coming back. And at the end of 7 days, she was almost functional. At the end of 12 days, they were telling me it's okay. She can go to a rehab center or back to the house. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to send her back to the house because my dad's there and that caregiver is there. And I really don't have any trust in that caregiver anymore. So I decided to put her in a place called Le Regine, which is this like super high scale aftercare rehab center. And since I had access to all the health department records, I could tell if anybody was there, if there had ever been any sort of incident with COVID or whatever, and I trusted that that was going to be able to be happening. And no problem, things are great. And then my dad, the day Melania Trump does her spiel on the TV, remember the previous time that they were all in office, and he gets so excited that he decides to fall and break his right hip. So I call my friend who's a surgeon, Dr. Arango, and I said, hey, my dad just broke his hip. Can you please, 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 because I can't trust anybody else to fix this guy. And he goes to the hospital, and fortunately he tested negative for COVID, and they gave him the surgery, and then he also goes to the rehab center. And yeah, 15 days after that, while he's doing recovery and all that other stuff, my dad, behind my back, decides to I put them in separate rooms so that his energy would not mix with hers and so they could both heal instead of going to their usual pattern of dissatisfactions for a myriad of hundreds of millions of things. He somehow convinces them to put them, the staff there, to put them both into a room and into a two-person room. And at first I thought, man, this is like the worst thing that happened. But then again, how could I ever know that on a Friday at 8:45 in the morning they were going to call me to say, hey, your mother's oxygen volume is at 70? And I'm not stupid, so I knew exactly what that meant, which is she's COVID positive. And I said, okay, we've got two things to deal with right now. One, you not knowing that there's somebody positive COVID in your ward, or one of your employees. So which one is it? And the lady's like, oh, I can't talk to you about that. I said, okay, look, you know where I work, and I'm going to go straight to the health department, which is less than 2 rooms away from here, ESF 8, and look up your stats and tell you exactly what the name of that person is. So goodbye. And I hung up the phone. I went, I got the information. I came back to the phone. I told the lady, send her to the hospital right now, Mercy, emergency, and maybe we can give her something to make her immune system react to this thing.
We're running
Yeah.
a little bit out of time here. Can
The
you?
point, the
did
point,
you-
short story is that yes, she went to the hospital, and yes, they told me that she had COVID, and yes, I had to accept that. And at 1:30 in the morning, I'm speaking to the nurses. Yes, the second test that you ordered has been given to her, and yes, she has it. And by 11:42 the next morning, a doctor was calling me to say, hey, your mom, I've just been told by the nurse, has passed away. And so there I was on a Saturday morning at home alone, present to what I was feeling. And what I was feeling was light, and I was feeling okay because I had the presence of mind to ask the doctor to please with your hand in the glove, put your hand on her forehead and let her know everything is fine. So carrying forward through the guilt of my putting her in the hospital and everything else and understanding, dude, this is life. Put your hand on her forehead and let her know that everything is fine. That's an energy thing. It has nothing to do with, and my mother understood that. I know she understood that because she created this person who's talking to all of you now. Slowly, surely, day by day, little by little, created this person who's talking to you now.
All right, thank you. I'm going to finish up with paragraph 9 so we can finish up here. You rest within the peace of God today, quiet and unafraid. Each brother comes to take his rest and offer it to you. We rest together here, for thus our rest is made complete. And what we give today, we have received already. Time is not the guardian of what we give today. We give to those unborn and to those who've passed by, to every thought of God, and to the mind in which these thoughts were born, and where they rest. And we remind them of the resting place each time we tell ourselves, I rest in God. All right. And so the idea here is to make sure that nobody is left without your blessing. And here it says, paragraph 9, sentence 3, what we give today, we have received. And so whatever you offer your brother or sister is what you will experience.
Giving and receiving are the same.
Yes, giving and receiving are the same. And just become an example to them that they, in any situation, they can find rest. They can find peace. And here it's saying in sentence number 2, each brother comes to take his rest and offer it to you. And so by the way you experience them, you can choose rest or you can choose not rest. Your choice. All right. Any final comments or questions before we close? We're a little bit late today.
Sorry I went so long.
It's all right. No, the key is the key is for Wendy, that she's going through an issue with somebody's passing. And so I just wanted to get the how you were able to come to peace with your mom's passing. Which is,
Yeah.
we all have to go through really freaking tough times like that. And we all have to, maybe that's a good thing. Find people who have gone through a really difficult passing, Wendy, and ask them, hey, how did you find peace in regards to this person's passing? Because the people who know best of how to achieve the state of peace in that situation is the people who have gone through it. Yes.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I lost my voice today, guys. So also what comes to mind with this whole experience of people passing is how can I be present now as well while I'm in my grieving process to my loved ones and express love to them? And when I think of like the loved ones in my life that have passed away, it has created an energy within me that inspired me to want to be that much more loving and that much more present to the people that are in my life and show appreciation, because I think death can be also the biggest teacher, and it teaches us that, you know, we are not promised tomorrow. And if I knew that I was going to pass away a week from now, how different would my life be? And what things would I do in my life today that I'm not doing? And how much love would I give others instead of dwelling in my resentments if I knew that my days were counted? And I would be living my life so differently. And I know that I shared with you, Wendy, the different stages of grief. And I know that it's still going to be a process. Like, yes, we are divine and we are connected, and there is energy and there is spirit and there is all these things, but we're also going to have the human experience. But I think of the beautiful gesture you did for your daughter. I'm not saying to go do that gesture, but how can maybe you connect in different ways with the people that are present in your life today and just tell them you love them? Because when I think of loss and I think of my loss experiences, the remorse that I felt, or the dissatisfaction with how I showed up in relationships that I felt, that I could no longer speak to this person in physical form, inspired me to have deeper connections with the people that I love that are still alive today. And then also find different ways and modalities, whether through meditation or writing, letter writing, all these different ways of like connecting with the spirit of the loved one that's on the other side now. And I believe that they are able to connect with whatever it is that I am sensing in human form. And so I do trust and believe that in time, you will expand from this, and it's going to be something beautiful, but we won't be able to see the fruit of what is manifesting until time has gone by and we're able to reflect on it in retrospect. So we also just have to be patient with the process. Like, there is no bypassing, the stages as much as we want to bypass. And I can seek to like, what's going to help me? What's going to help me? And it's like, sometimes we just have to sit in it, and this too shall pass. And we're all here for you, and we all love you very much.
Thank you so much, Christina. I love you.
Yes, and one thing that I heard from the Holy Spirit is, when you try this, write your friend, the friend that passed away, a letter, and tell her everything you want to say to her, or you wanted to say to her before she passed. Okay, so write that letter from you to her. Okay, and then write a response letter from her to you. How she would respond to your letter, because you know your friend, so you know how she would respond. And do that exercise, and that's also for Juan to do if he wants to do it with his mom. And I think that would be very useful.
Thank you, Jane.
Yeah, that's
Juan's
something.
Juan's
that-
mother comes to visit Juan in this big blue bubble.
Beautiful.
And Juan's mother is not, there are a lot of people who are not, who are very enamored with this physical reality and do not pierce or want to see anything else animating the physical reality. And for whatever reason, the investment that my mother made into me has totally made me a completely different animal than. So my mother's father committed suicide when she was 13 years old, and I guess she had every reason in the world to create a different sort of being than the ones that she'd known in her whatever. It's hard to explain. I'm sorry. I can't put this into words. My mother is very present to me all the time. Sometimes more than, like when I'm at work or whatever, and I'm like concentrated on stuff, or right here. In a way, she's here in this conversation, not in the bubble. That's some rather extreme lucid dreaming stuff that I do, and it's on purpose, and it's part of the rituals that you'll find in the book Death. Blows your mind away when you start to do these things. They're really super cool.
And so, since we talk a lot about gratitude, Wendy, you can write her a letter and tell her everything that you're grateful for her, everything you're grateful about her, and then write a letter from her to you, saying everything that she's grateful for you for. And so that's another way to
Thank
complete that.
That's a beautiful, I actually, when you said it, my my chest unconstricted. So I know that's what I needed to hear. I waited this whole time. That's what I needed. Thank you so much. I'm gonna do it as soon as we're done.
Beautiful, great, and keep us. So yeah, tell us about it later on. And yes, so it is beautiful to do that, and I will do that in the future. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for coming tonight and sharing very personal stuff. Thank you, Juan, and thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Christina.
Yeah,
And God-
that was totally like wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never thought that I was going to be considering the topic that we're dealing with 109. Never thought I would be even cool. Wow.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, it's led by the Holy Spirit, so He knows what's up. All right, thank you, folks. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. Love you guys. Bye.
Good night.